skill development isn't about becoming a quote unquote salesman. It's about becoming a professional who can communicate value, handle little bits of resistance without caving in on ourselves, and help homeowners by leading them to make confident choices without pressure. And so many techs and salespeople in the home services still resist learning this side of the job.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you again. Looking forward to a new week and a new year. That's right. Happy New Year to all of you. Kiss 2025 goodbye and say hello 2026. And that is the topic we're going to be talking about today. Not necessarily the new year, but potentially the new you and what you should be or could be focusing on to make it the better year that it should and deserves to be. Make sure you don't get left behind. We're looking forward to the conversation, just the two of us today. And as always, we're going to kick it off with a quote from Brian.
Eric Hoffer said, "In times of change, the learner inherits the future. The learner finds themselves equipped to live in a world that no longer exists."
All right. I like it. You know, we should make like a theme for the quotes, 2026, like every single week they just get elevated. And by the end of the year, you'll be reading in like Greek or something like that. We'll have to have a translator come on.
I don't know about all that.
It's good. It's good.
I can barely read in English, bro. We don't want this.
No, it is a good theme around the idea of learning and the benefit of that. And that is going to tie nicely into the topic today.
Yeah. It's probably the difference between the evolver or the person who evolves and the person who just gains experience, right? If you're constantly evolving, like if I'm the same person now as this records the end of 2025 or releases the beginning of 2026, if I'm the same person I was in 2023, 2022, what shot do I have in being successful in 2026? Like, you just think about the major stuff dropped on us here in the last couple years in terms of AI. You go back to 2022, you barely even know it exists, right? And you've missed quite a bit. And I get a lot of people listening probably don't use much in terms of AI, but in our world, it exists and it's used pretty heavily. And it's necessary for us to keep up, right? But in whatever way that is for you, if you're a communicator, if you're a salesperson, if you're strictly a mechanic, say an installer, whether it's the soft skills, the communication skills, the learning to have adapted to this new client that we see now, that's not certainly over 2020, 2021, people shifted and the way they buy shifted. And if you're still using skills you learned in 2018, you're not going to do well in this day and age. So, and it all is the same way. If you're using the exact same mechanical skills you learned in 2018 to install HVAC equipment today, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to do a lot of Googling, calling your service manager on FaceTime.
Yeah, I think adaptiveness or adaptability is one of the key elements of any good hire and of any really sound person to keep in your organization or for yourself to adopt personally. And the reason for that is because the world is constantly evolving. And so whatever was acceptable today or whatever was the way of doing things today is not necessarily the way of doing things tomorrow. And you have to be able to adapt and move with the momentum and the industry. And, you can picture that however you want, but a great example, as you mentioned, is AI. But even in like HVAC, for example, the amount of Bluetooth connectivity that is in the units today that wasn't there 5 years ago is enormous, right? The amount of troubleshooting done remotely or by machines or computers is, of course, greatly going up. And so we always need to be willing to be adapting new technologies and new ways of doing things. That doesn't mean that the new ways are always better, right? Like, so sometimes you say, nope, this one's not as good as what we currently have. And that's fine. But you have to be open to it. You have to be willing to be able to look and refine and decide and move through it so that you can keep up with things. And, I tell you what, it's not always easy. And in an industry that continues to evolve, specifically in the trades, there's a lot of things that we talk about on a weekly basis, sales communication and technical abilities, all these things. It's difficult to keep up with everything. One thing is good, though. Humans generally remain humans. And so one thing that you can usually count on is that if you focus on your presentation skills, if you focus on your communication skills, those are going to stick with you for a very long time because people are people, baby.
Yeah, if you're able to build a relationship very well, disarm very quickly, drop your own guard, which most people don't really realize that the biggest key to disarming people is dropping your own anxiety and guard and letting your defenses down and being open and vulnerable. That's the biggest key. And it's the most overlooked. People are always looking for the tactic that helps you disarm other people. But the best way to disarm, we talk about the dog analogy with my boy Nick that I grew up with. Nick was terrified of dogs, got bit when he was a kid. We'd walk by these long fences with dogs and he would like freeze up if he got close. And the dogs that were cool yesterday, when it was just, me and Kev, my brother, going by, they were fine. They're like gnawing at the gate, trying to get at Nick. And we would think like, yeah, man, dogs really do hate this dude. It's like, it's crazy. And later on, I would come to understand that his posture and defensive self-preservation mechanisms that made him go into fight, flight, or freeze, and in his case, freeze, they made the dog super nervous. And in most cases, super nervous dogs get aggressive, right? If they don't know, they go to bite, especially when it's a dog that is behind the fence of its family's property. Don't push that dog, right? And his posture made the dog feel like, I can't trust you here. And we are no different as people. When someone has that posture of shifty eye, staring at the ground when they talk to you, hands behind their back in their pocket, arms always folded when we're having a conversation, standing face to face the entire time, we just naturally feel like a lack of a connection, right? We feel a lack of a genuine connection with the person. And oftentimes we don't feel like I don't trust you. We just feel like, there's nothing there. I don't need to pursue this relationship. But subconsciously, what's happening is our brain is telling us, get out of Dodge. And it's a gift to be able to do this for a living. And we should feel like it's a gift and feel grateful for that. But the time to feel it the most is when you're entering that home. So that the state you're in is not one of stress. It's not a cortisol producing state. It's an oxytocin producing state, right? It's the love, hormone, molecule, chemical? I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, I think it's a hormone.
All right. Yeah. The self-manufactured love drug.
There you go.
The one you feel. Right before we started recording here, my youngest daughter walked in with a kitten the size of the palm of my hand. It was 2 weeks old. My oldest daughter works at PetSmart. And this actually happens all the time. Guy walks in with a box full of 2-week-old kittens and said, I don't want them. If you guys can save them, save them. And he sets them on the counter and he walks out. And this apparently, she's been at 2 different PetSmarts here locally. This happens at PetSmarts all the time. Like, you don't get to keep the mom. There's going to be no nursing. Just off you go. And he rolls. And of course, Juliana brings one home. As Juliana does. We got all kinds of aquariums and tanks and
oh boy.
Yeah. Lots of animals here. Lots of kids, lots of animals. But you saw the little thing, right? So
I did.
It's the size of the palm of my hand, or in Nate's case, 2 hands. So she brings it up, it immediately goes for the shoulder, and it wants to get under your chin and sleep, and it purrs. Didn't get any time with mom really. So, and when the thing's being all cute like that, or like a puppy or a baby, we don't want to talk about those because we have so many kids, but we just don't want to risk even having that conversation. Vasectomy and all, it's still like, let's not talk about that yet. But when you're holding a baby and loving on a baby, that feeling that you feel like you kind of forget all the stressful stuff that was happening a half an hour earlier, that's oxytocin, right? That's the love chemical. And it's the same one that genuine gratitude produces in you as you're expressing it and in the person that you're giving it to, which is why it's so powerful that we start the GoPro selling process with that. Not thank you, but a genuine wheelbarrow full of gratitude that you actually feel and you actually mean and you have been working on since you left the last call. Yeah, I was about to keep going, but I was like, how'd we get over here?
I don't know, but I'm feeling the love, Brian. You know why?
All right. We took the long way around in this intro, didn't we?
We did.
All right, we'll keep going. We'll keep going until you can segue by going, speaking of gratitude,
We'll see. That's what I was about to do. Because I'm feeling the love early because it's that time. It's that time when somebody shares a little love with us.
Yeah, but this is the cure for cortisol. Cortisol is smellable. It's certainly seeable. It's very easy to see on a person when they're stressed out. And the cure for it, for you approaching the home, is the overwhelming sense of gratitude. No matter who you're going to see, no matter why you're going to see them. I mean, that's the most important part. The biggest mistake I see technicians make when they get on the GoPro system, none, because it's perfect and you're perfect when you run it, is this. I say, I didn't get it sold. Here's the objection. And I can tell, like, you're halfway through the sentence of why it didn't sell. And I don't have to ask, but I'm going to ask, how did the gratitude piece go? Because it's very clear to me that you didn't do it. Because you have no relationship with this client whatsoever, and you had no business presenting to them. Because they shut you down ice cold, like it didn't bother them in the slightest. And if we're dealing with people that we like, we're not abrupt like that, right? So why didn't you do gratitude? Why didn't you do your whole GACA statement, right? And the answer would be, this wasn't that type of person. Well, because like when it started, it's like, okay, you think the process is there to be done when it's the perfect fit. But when it's the perfect fit, you don't even really need it. You should do it. You need it on the hard ones where it doesn't make any sense to do it. Yeah. And you need to get good at doing it when it's difficult, not when it's easy. So GACA up, load up the gratitude, blast them with it. You can be pretty confident that the majority of people you do that to, you will be the only person that did that day. You will see people who have not felt genuine gratitude in months. The better I got at it, the more I started genuinely liking the people, and the more reaction I got from it, which was like genuinely grateful for an encouraging word, which seems to be so elusive these days. And people seem to be so starved for it these days. And, there's, you use different ones. So there's 3 different places we can pull it from. We can pull it from the client, you in particular. This is why I'm grateful for you, and I mean it. And here's what I mean. We can pull it from our personal story of being in the trades and what it means to us and what it's done for us. And even to some, like a small aspect of where I would be otherwise. So this is really why I'm so glad to be here. And because of folks like yourself having me over, I get to do this. And we can use the team story, whatever that is. The coolest part of the team or the owner or what have you that you are appreciative of. So you draw from one of those 3 and you start building it when you leave the last call or leave your house or leave the shop. Start thinking about it immediately. and build it all the way there. Filter in reasons to be grateful. Filter out everything else, because how is it helping you? But you don't even know, bro. When I was pulling out of the parking lot, so-and-so cut me off. I know. My days are hard too. Not as hard as the text, but the back of my feet gets sore from the top of my desk. So Nate's got bed sores on the back of his legs in his comfy desk chair all day.
Yeah, right.
I'm heavy on it because I got a couple objections in the last 2 days. And, I don't like to put people on blast by name, and I'm not going to, but they're going to know exactly who I'm talking about. But I talked about it on Wiser Wednesday too. It was like one tech calls me like, didn't get anything done except this little thing in the garage. What happened on the plumbing inspection? Didn't do one. Why not? As soon as I brought it up, he shut me down. No, we're not doing that. I said, snap, why not? And he goes, I don't know. He just didn't want it. It would be a great piece of information to have before you leave. Why not? Why didn't he want it? But I understand it. And the second one was I brought up water treatment in the best way, which was some version of what we train, which is either how much do you know about what's in the water in your home here? Or on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's all you think about, 1 being you couldn't possibly care less. How important is the quality of the water coming into the home to you? Right? Some version of that, just to start the conversation in a way that gets them thinking and them talking. And the lady said, I don't know and I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. And then the whole call went sideways. And I'm like, wow. So were we just there and like did the water test? And he's like, we were there before, but it was 3 years ago. I'm like, well, then it wasn't that. So what was the reason for all the anger? I don't know. And I'm like, wouldn't that be good information? Like even right now, so we can kind of dissect this and, you bring it to me so we can play racquetball with it, right? Like the only way to improve that call next time, because you're going to have that same call next time, is that you and I get the tennis rackets out and we bounce that sucker back and forth for 10 minutes, however long it takes, until we both feel like we came up with a resolution that would work in that situation. Now, here's the problem. We don't always want a resolution because we want to beat our chest and say, couldn't have been sold. See what I mean? Just rotten luck, bro. But that's not real. I promise you, somebody could have gone over there and sold that. If money isn't the issue, like failed financing and just couldn't scrape the money together, somebody could have sold it. Then you need to walk in that level of humility, or you're maxed out. You've made all the money you're going to make. It's time to be a service manager. So, and how do you get those answers? This turned into just a sales training episode. We're not doing anything we talked about. How do you get the answer to that question? Well, there's like, you could say why or why not, but you don't say why and why not to clients. You say why and why not to toddlers, and you don't talk to grownups like that. So how would you say it to them? Well, there's the Chris Voss, FBI hostage negotiator labeling, or even like the Chase Hughes, who studied quite a bit with like CIA operatives and stuff, which is asking a question as a statement. It seems like you had a bad experience with that, right? And if they stand there nodding, then say, would you mind sharing? But most of the time, if you open the door that much, seems like you had a bad experience there, they can't wait to let you have it. And it may be letting you have it, but, and I'm not sitting here acting like in the moment that emotion isn't real and that fear isn't kind of overwhelming and you don't want to just be done with this horrible situation and on to your next call. But what are you here for? Why am I here? I'm here to see a lady with a couple kids who's dipping them in chemical laden water and then just walk out casually like I don't know that those are bad for them. That's why I'm here, because of the slightest bit of resistance. Not me. I'm here in a situation like this to make sure that when I leave, their water's treated. They got the whole home chemical and toxin removal system. They got drinking water purification system under the kitchen sink with the spout on the sink and a line running over to the ice maker to purify those little ice cubes and to just look like pieces of glass. That's what I'm here for, and I'm getting it done. It's going to be very difficult for her to put me off without me feeling like she has the full weight of understanding of what's in her water through the EWG.org website. Punch in her zip code, gives her all 16 chemicals that exceed EWG health guidelines. Says it right there. Where did this water test come from? From the water department on your zip code. And it even says the legal limit, quote unquote, does not mean safe. In most municipalities, the legal limits were set over 20 years ago. I'm like, do we have more information now? Smoking was pretty cool 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
Until they priced it out of coolness. Now vape's cool. Yeah. So I want to make sure that we're showing up properly, right? With either nothing or oxytocin, but not cortisol, not taking the baggage from the shop or the last call or the house into this family with me. I'm a shaken, cleared Etch-a-Sketch. And the only thing that's going to be drawn on it is the needs, wants, and goals of this family and how I can help them with all that via the plumbing, HVAC, electrical, garage door, pest control, doors and windows, cleaning. I forget the rest. All the other industries listening. Thank you guys. We love you. Right? Gratitude.
Right. Gratitude. It's the gift that keeps on giving, Clark.
Yeah. So, when you make the title of your Apple podcast review, you get like 4 or 5 words. And then it just cuts it off and says ... This one, the most actionable podcast in ... I'm going to say the world. I'm just going to fill it in. I'm sure that's what LMAC meant.
Obviously.
5 stars. Pure gold. That's it. LMAC 124.
Oh, man of short words. Or a few words, I should say. Or maybe a woman of few words. I don't know.
LMAC. Yeah, I can see it. Lynn McDonald. Yeah,
sure.
Could be a woman.
Leonard. We don't know.
Leonard's not a
but
woman's
we
name.
know that they know that it's pure gold.
Yeah.
So
here's what we're going to do. Like, this was a very short review, right? So I had an idea. Took a post out of bluecollarcloser.com, bluecollarcloser.com, 7-day free trial right now. You don't get all the classroom courses, but you get the community, some of the classroom courses during the 7-day free trial. Soon as you hit day 8, you are an investing member of the Blue Collar Closer / Waste No Day community, and you get access to the full, hundreds of hours of training content in there, 4 live virtual meetings a week, 2 role plays, 1 live Q&A, and then Wiser Wednesday, and then all the recorded version of those and the classroom. So check it out. Get up in there. And this, Stedman Russell posted in there. He said, today was another great day out there getting the hang of things and can definitely see the growth from everything I'm learning here. Thank you guys. I really, really appreciate your help and see my life changing drastically. Let's go. And a bunch of muscle emojis. 5K today, 49K for the week so far. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Mwah! Love it. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, he goes by Russ. He's up in there, great. Man. That guy's, if I swing into the Monday and Wednesday night role play, he's up in there. Thursday Q&A, Wiser Wednesday. I can't see who's on Wiser Wednesday, but I'm sure he's there because Russ means business.
That's good, Brian. And both of those reviews speak to not only appreciation, and we're grateful for that, but also the impact that it is having on real people in the real world. And so we're not reading that stuff just for the fun of it or just for patting ourselves on the back. Although, hey, we don't mind that either. But it's real world stories.
It is fun to be patted on the back.
Yeah. It's real world stories of people who are taking the things that they're learning on this podcast, the things that they're learning in the Blue Collar Closer school community, and they are applying them to their own benefit, right?
Yeah.
And as we think about this year and what you're going to focus on this year, the worst thing that you can do is not focus on anything. Like pick an area: technical, communication, fatherhood, marriage, lifting, physical, finances, like the 4 F's, your faith, whatever. Pick an area.
Promoting the Waste No Day podcast, whatever it is.
Promoting the Waste No Day podcast. Get in something and make a difference this year. Let's see some gains, my man. Right?
Yeah, January is when everyone, to get back to our original point, thank you, Nate. January is when everyone talks about becoming better versions of themselves, right? It's New Year's resolution time. But in the skilled trades, in the decades that I've been involved in the skilled trades, which is the majority of my life now, having family in the trades, it usually turns into working a lot more hours for a little bit more money, right? Because if it's hourly, it's like, I don't know, if you're $30 an hour, it's like you can stay out an extra hour a week for $150 that you're going to get taxed on. It's like, it's not, the juice is sometimes hardly worth the squeeze, right? I know there's some apprentices listening to this like, what? $30 an hour? You'll get there. But that's not new year, new me. Working super extra hard for a tiny bit of money. Because nothing actually changes, right? Nothing's added. And nothing really changes in a revolutionary way unless new skills have been added. And in terms of performance pay, be it sales, selling tech, CSR, like whatever role you're in where you can affect your income by upselling, for lack of a scarier word in the moment. But that's the reason we built Blue Collar Closer in the first place. We have a room where you can open your tablet or your phone at any time and enter a world where technicians don't just stay busy. They're actively becoming more valuable in the home, more valuable on the call, more valuable to their team, financially more valuable to the family, and better communicators overall. There's nobody who's doing the role play, going through the classroom, sitting in these meetings that we have, actually implementing, that isn't becoming a better communicator in every aspect of their lives. They're learning how to ask for what they want in a way that makes both them and the person they're talking to feel like they're winning, which is the name of the game, right? It's what Chris Voss said in Never Split the Difference, that in the world of FBI hostage negotiation, a successful negotiation means both parties win. And that's a successful sale. That's a 5-star review. That's someone telling their friends and family about you. That's someone who not only had the big job done with you today, but in 8, 10, 12 years when they need it done again, there's no question who they're going to call, even though they paid a little bit more, like so many of our reviews say, right? Well worth it. So it's like magic to me that this thing exists now. A little bit less magical because it didn't exist when I was in a truck, but it's here now. Nate, when you look at the techs, be it on your team or techs that we know out there who struggle, really just seem to struggle to get it together in a meaningful way year after year, what would you say the biggest component missing is?
Well, there's a couple elements that I can identify. One is for sure life at home is disrupted. is chaotic. Mama drama, girlfriend drama, like whatever. Life at home is a disruption, and people go to work to find relief, and they're living completely out of balance. And then that chaos bleeds over. And of course, chaos generally wins over steadiness, and then the results pan out. So that's one thing that comes to mind. Another thing that comes to mind is just complete lack of self-confidence or self-belief, or a refusal to believe that you can be anything more than you are, like some type of self-limiting beliefs. They're saying, I'm not good enough, or I could never do that, or I'll never be able to sustain that. There's a part of an attitude that I see as being contagious and very detrimental. Another one is complacency, just acceptance of where I'm at is good enough, like a lack of drive or desire to pursue better and harder things, to like grow, to invest in any level other than just like the bare minimum or something that is, mediocre, so to speak.
The complacency part might have hit the nail on the head there. I've not known very many people who had a lack of desire to improve, but an honest, genuine lack of belief that they are capable of improvement. Because most of the time, so many times, they gave it a half-hearted effort and got their head bit off the one time they went to try to be a salesperson or whatever. And they said, yeah, see, I'm just too nice of a guy for this. I care too much about my client for this. Like, it's not for me. And that's oftentimes a career killer. So you're not that tenacious, right? You bruise easily and don't heal very quickly, or you don't have a lot of fight in you. There's that. But I think if they genuinely believed that a few more of those would mean they were good at it, they would keep going. Bigger challenges. We're so unaccustomed to winning that we almost don't feel like we're capable of it.
Yeah, I think those are fair points, Brian. And I mean, obviously in observation, you would have to dig in deeper to understand, why is this person not trying to do anything above the standard or trying to improve? And for some people, maybe it is that. Maybe it's they don't believe they could. I think there is also there's lazy people too. There's just lazy people who are like, I can't wait to get home to my video games. I can't wait to get home to my couch. I can't wait to get home to my Netflix. And dude, I feel it too.
I even feel like
real things.
The video game. Yeah. I was with our financial advisor the other day, and he's just talking about all these things, all these balls that I have juggling in the air, as I talked about potentially bringing another one on. And he's like, man, if most people had half the drive and lack of a desire to just like Netflix and chill as you, I was like, hold on, bro, I don't want you to be confused. I'm doing all this to afford a lot of time at the end to Netflix and chill. I got a lot of shows I need to catch up on. Like, I desperately want to be on my couch right now. There's nowhere I'd rather be than on the couch, remote in hand, as big a container of ice cream as you can fit through the doorway. And I have the big sliding door on the back, so we can get pretty big. Crane it over the wall. And, Amelia sitting next to me, my oldest, super into scary movies like me, unlike anyone else in our family. So, I want to watch that It series real bad. Welcome to Derry. We don't have time, but I want to. I would much rather be on the couch watching something than at the gym at 4:30 on a Thursday morning. It's not even close. But I have things that I want to get done, right? I have certain markers that I want to hit. I have a certain level of being set up that I want for my kids. Like, I don't mean that their financial future set or anything like that. The best part about every level I've hit financially was grinding to hit it. The actual hitting part was like a nothing burger every single time. But the doing of it and the becoming was wild. It's been awesome, right? And who I become each time we hit a new level is pretty spectacular. But if I had my druthers, I'd be on the couch downstairs right now. I don't know what we'd be watching, but pick a show. Let's start the Welcome to Derry series. Watch that. Yeah, and we'd just be chilling. So yeah, don't feel like because you have that, you don't have greatness in you or anything like that. It's preposterous. There's a choice that has to be made. I'm going to go in. I'm going to label this client's pain. I'm going to funnel down to the root of this objection. And I'm going to have one more conversation about it with them. And I'm going to do that again and again and again until they buy or boot. Right? And then I'm going to follow up. And that's it. And this is what my life looks like until I'm out of a sales position. And then guess what? I'm in a leadership position. And the days have to look largely the same. It's training every day. It's growing every day. I haven't found the place that we could get to yet where it doesn't take a tremendous amount of work to be good at it. You?
No, sir.
And I mean, to be good at it tomorrow is a different skill set than it was to be good at it yesterday. So it's fine if you feel like you're in that lazy, quote unquote, category where it's just like, bro, I could, like, I'm wiped. I'm stressed. I'm not feeling it. Like, okay, do it anyway. Do it without feeling it for a while. And then it just becomes the routine. So we get up and go to the gym in the morning, 3:45. Or I think maybe even on the show, but I know I was telling you, like, I'm just killing it like several months ago, but like I'm up 15 minutes before the alarm every day and just out, you know. Boy, are those days behind me. It's a little chilly, you know. It's only getting up to about 76 and sunny here in Phoenix.
Parka weather
at the end of December, yeah. But it's a little chilly at night because we don't turn the heat on in the desert here in the Burton household. It's either air conditioning or off. So it gets a little chilly. And shoulders just still bother me, and I'm just laid out. And I move the sheet. I don't use a blanket. I just use a sheet. The slightest bit off some skin. I'm like, ooh, that's cold out there. Yeah, snuggling up time, right? I don't want to get out of bed, like, at all right now. But I still do. Off to the gym we go because, well, one, in part, like Jocko said, because I don't want to. So that's why I make myself do it. But two, because it's just better to than not to. So if it's better to do it than not do it, and I become and am becoming the type of guy who is incapable of making myself do it, even though I know it's better to do it than not to do it, what am I? Like, what am I turning into? What example am I setting for the little versions of me running around the house? And then I can't eat my junk food. I'll blow up. So whatever reasons that you need to come up with for why we need to give 2026 hell, like everything we have all the time, like come up with those reasons and say, look, it's time to get after it.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned that, you know, the little versions of me running around. And like, I just had this conversation with my son last night. And so he plays an instrument. He's in 7th grade. And I mean, I personally think he's pretty good. He invests very little time in practicing.
This is Alex?
Yeah. He invests very little time in practicing, but anytime I hear him practice, like, it's on pitch, it sounds good, like he's got natural rhythm. Like, I think he's pretty good. You know, and I'm not saying he's like going to music school or anything like that, but like, I think he's got a gift. Like he's, you know, it's a natural ability for him. And especially considering the amount of time invested in practicing, like he's getting by just fine. So he has an opportunity to like join a jazz band or like some extra music assembly, right? And he's like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, okay, why don't you want to do it? I don't know. All right, well, that answer is not going to be acceptable. So you better find out why you don't want to do it. Well, I don't know. I just don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. Well, why don't you like doing it? Like, and I was probably a little aggressive in my approach, but I kept trying to like go after like the real reason he wanted to do it.
I picture Nate beating Alex with a trumpet. Dong, dong.
No instruments or children were hurt during this conversation.
Been there several times.
But I wanted to get to a place where he was telling me honestly that he had performed a thought exercise and he had concluded that he didn't want to do it for this reason, and then that reason was a mature reason. And what I wanted to make sure that he wasn't doing is exchanging the things of value and worth for the things of trivial pursuits, right? Because this is something that kids will do. Like he would, he might look at it and say, well, I have to do this extra music class. I have to give up my last period of flex study hall. And once every other week, we get to play dodgeball during that period. I'm like, I mean, he didn't say that, but I'm just imagining, like, because this is kind of sort of came up before.
You know where this is going. Yeah.
Right. It's like
you're picturing 12-year-old Nate and going, why wouldn't I have wanted to do this? Because there was more fun things to do. Or young Brian, because there was nothing to do. And that's all I really need.
And another thing that he kind of brought up is like, well, I don't have any friends in, band or whatever. I'm like, well, you didn't have any friends in soccer either when you started. And now you have like lots of friends in soccer. So that doesn't really seem reasonable to me either. And like, I actually got pretty frustrated with him. And anyways, it came down to it where it's like, I wanted him to think through it. And like, I need to continue the conversation with him. But I wanted to make sure he wasn't exchanging something of value for something of insignificance.
Yeah. It's a lot to ask for a 12-year-old, but a very good conversation.
It sure is. But like, I need to ask that same thing of myself. And like, how often do I do this? It's just nobody's older than me to call me out and be like, hey, dude, did you really need to watch that Netflix series last night? Did you really need to like scroll in your phone? Like, are you sure you didn't do that, because it was easier than like the 16 other things that would have been more profitable, like talking to your wife or putting in an extra weight set or like doing something outside? Like, who knows? Like, you list it. And how often do I do that? And so, that needs to be a conversation I have to have with myself as well. But for you in listener land, like, I understand it can be overwhelming trying to think about like all the areas of my life that need improving, and they are many. And so if you're not used to goal setting or you're not used to like any type of self-improvement plan, pick something that you already have the angst inside of you that says like, this area needs to be better. I want this area to be better. If you want to be more technically proficient, focus on that. If you want to get your master's license this year, focus on that. If you want to get NATE certified or ACA certified, focus on that. If you want to be able to install a panel in 6 hours flat, then focus on that. Like, pick something. If you want to be a fitness guy, if you want to get your finances in order, if you want to get back to church, like whatever it is, pick at least one thing and start there. And start getting those snowball wins of like, this is good, and choosing the hard thing. Don't try to choose the hard thing in every area of your life. Like, you're going to hit the wall on that thing. So like, start choosing the hard areas in a singular area of your life. Because man, when you start choosing hard things, like, you find out this is the reason that I don't like to do hard things. It's because it's hard and this sucks. Okay. So like, focus on one area, especially if you're not used to setting goals. Focus on one area and then put your effort in that, your honest effort into it. And realize that on the other side of it, there's going to be gains, not only for you, but for the people that are around you, the people that you love, because you're going to become a better person regardless of what the goal is. Outside of like, I want to become an arch villain or something like that. You're going to become a better person by pursuing a goal of value and substance rather than choosing the easy. You're going to become a better person if you say, I want to hike over that mountain rather than around it. It's going to be harder. It's going to be a journey filled with trouble and with hassle and with hardship, but you're going to become a better person through it. And so whether you want to become more technical, whether you want to become more communicative, whether you want to increase your sales, join bluecollarcloser.com, whether you want to invest in yourself in some way. And man, do we say that a lot. Invest in yourself. The dividends will be paid out in spades to the people in your life and those whom you have influence with.
And if you think Nate didn't have this exact conversation in this exact tone with young Alex and his song flute or cello or whatever it is, you got another thing coming.
Song flute.
Because that's exactly what it sounded like. Most companies, I would say, maybe a little note to the owners slash managers, trainers, most teams say and believe they offer training, because this is an area, if you're in a leadership position, this is where our investment needs to be, right? Into our teams. But what they really offer, as we know from visits we've made to shops and teams that I've been on, is information. They just offer information. And info, like reading a brochure about sales training, doesn't raise opportunity averages or conversion rates. Skills do those things. And bluecollarcloser.com is built around real in-home scenarios, real objections, real conversations that techs and salespeople are having every day in the home, because that's where income, both salesperson, tech, installer, manager, owner, that's where it's decided. Why do you think so many techs have a general idea of what needs to be done, but can't execute?
For the same reason that America's obese.
Because it's easier not to.
Everybody knows how to lose weight. We've been over that before.
Yeah.
It's not a mystery.
Yet here I am. Yep. We talked about this a few weeks ago on the show because it was the quote I used. And going down this rabbit hole, it made me want to say it again. But Dr. Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, said, eventually, the time you did not spend developing a new skill catches up to you. And the fall is painful. And that's a reality of what we see with techs and salespeople in the home services who rely on experience as opposed to evolution, right? On I'm getting better as I just keep going through it versus I'm going to purposely evolve. I'm going to find, commit to, and execute on real training that actually works and change myself with the changing conditions of the marketplace. Because the marketplace changes, our clients change, and people who don't change with them and upgrade fade out of existence. What is from your perspective, not being a guy from a truck, what is the fall that Dr. Greene was talking about? What does that look like? You have any examples of that in the non-tech world?
You mean in terms of like getting left behind?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, this is an example from my previous career. So my degree is actually in architecture. And when I was coming up through high school and even really through high school, like I learned hand drafting. You know, we had a T-square and a draftsman board and, pencils of all different sizes and weights and everything else. And like, it was a slow process, and it was a whole thing to learn all that, which it was good. It was good because like it taught me patience. It taught me lots of things about it. But then fast forward to college and career, and like that's in the AutoCAD world and learning all that. Like I could have kicked against the bricks. I could have been like, well, this is dumb. There's no discipline to learning how to click a mouse. You have to learn how to draw a pencil and feel the weight of the lead across your fingers, right? And all that. And yeah, but you know what AutoCAD does? It allows you to like click, copy, and paste entire sections of blueprints and delete them and start over and flip them and reverse them and rotate them and everything else. Things that would take a pencil draftsman hours, maybe days to do, that can be done in literal minutes. And so, I don't know if there's anybody that's still drafting by hand anymore these days, but there was an example where the industry changed. And like, if you didn't change, you were going to get left behind real quick. Now that's an actual skill set, like an actual piece of it. But you also have, like take parenting, for example. I'm not an advocate of all the new ways of parenting, if that's even a thing, like gentle parenting and all this bull crap.
AKA not parenting.
Right. I also think that for me to just attempt to duplicate how my parents parented, which, I had a great mom and dad and they were awesome. And, I was very thankful to God for that type of an example in my life. But I also am not planning on just running it back. I'm going to draw from that experience. And I'm going to use the things that I feel like dad did for me that was beneficial and mom showed me this that was really helpful. but I also have to like take my own turn on it, because I'm not raising kids in 1985, 1995. I'm not raising kids in that age time. Like, there was no such thing as an iPad. There was no such thing as cellular internet. There was no such thing as, addiction to devices and all that type of stuff. There was addictions, but not to devices. That wasn't a thing. And so, like, I can't just run back the way that my parents parented me to my children, because we no longer live in a world that is like that. We no longer have parachute pants and all that. So I have to evolve. My parenting has to change. My parenting has to be different. My parenting has to be current with 2026. And that doesn't mean that there isn't like stalwart things, rock foundational elements of parenting that I believe in, no matter what day and age it is, right? But it does mean that there are areas of my parenting that are different, and they have to be different. And that means that there's areas of my parents' parenting that are, call it expired. Like, they're just not relevant anymore because something has changed. The world has moved on. And if I don't move with it, my kids will suffer. Like, if I don't train my kids, I mean, shoot, it's like all the time they want devices, and some of their friends have phones and all this stuff. And like, that's not what I'm about. And that's not what I like. I don't really want my 13-year-old having wide open access to the internet at 13. Like, that's crazy to me. But that's something that my dad never had to even think about. Like, it wasn't even a possibility, even if he had thought about it. But that's the world that I'm living in. And so I have to figure out how to evolve, to grow, to adapt, and then choose the foundational pieces of my past and my experience, but then transform them into the foundations of the future, meaning today and tomorrow.
Yeah, didn't know my pops, but I have met Mr. John Minnick, and yes, great guy. So I think it's part of the reason I'm so mentor driven is, probably always in a way looking for that void of a father to be filled. And right now, I've been trying to read a book a week for November and December before I commit to 52 books in 2026. I just wanted to make sure I could read 8 books in November, December.
Brutal.
Yeah. And so far, so good. But I'm reading, it's Peter Drucker's book, The Effective Executive. It's one of the best books on management I've ever written. It's like 50 or 60 years old or something. But this one is like revised, and the preface is done, and it's read by Jim Collins, our boy, right? Our homie Jim Collins of Good to Great fame. He autographed and sent Nate and me a couple books, which was freaking awesome because I love Good to Great. And it's a lot about, there's a difference between being busy and being effective, right? And I'm only in like 2 chapters into this book, but I was listening to it at the gym this morning and thought some of this we would do well to put a little bit of this into this episode. And most in the field, at least from the time I spent in the field and the people that I've trained up in the field, techs get exhausted, and salespeople, because they're trying to win with effort instead of leverage, right? Say enough words, try enough times, like beat myself against it just over and over and over again, freaking wiped out. And that effort usually shows up as trying and trying and trying with no proven way to do it, or a lot more calls, right? Working a lot of extra days, more stress, not much more money. Because if you're grinding and the money is piling up like exponentially, like, you don't get exhausted when you're winning. You get exhausted from effort when you're losing or not making any progress. When you're winning big, you don't get tired. So that effort versus leverage gap hurts techs and salespeople tremendously, right? And we've made some advances on the technical part with like interplay and things like this, where a guy can just throw some VR goggles on and learn all about equipment and HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. And no, we don't have a sponsorship with them, but hit us up, Interplay. But in terms of communication, there's not historically been a lot there to add leverage to the tech. And unfortunately, the biggest reason is because there's great training out there. There has been forever. Much like Interplay or one of these things, you still have to put the goggles on. You still got to get in this app and you still have to learn the equipment. And the sales process is no different. Tech salespeople who are winning right now aren't louder. They're not pushier. They're more clear. They're more confident. They're better at guiding homeowners through choices, which is a skill that can be learned, but rarely is. And like, I wanted to maybe get into we're running long, chat about what the difference could be in the people in the field that have picked that up and the ones who haven't, especially those really frustrating ones that you and I see so often that have everything they need in terms of ability, talent, communication, and the training is all there for them. And it hasn't clicked yet. I kind of wanted to get into a conversation about what might be lacking there. But skill development isn't about becoming a quote unquote salesman. It's about becoming a professional who can communicate value, handle little bits of resistance without caving in on ourselves, and help homeowners by leading them to make confident choices without pressure. And so many techs and salespeople in the home services still resist learning this side of the job. One, I know because it's work for sure. But two, because, well, there's still that huge population of old school techs who are like, I mean, they still think they're living in the early 90s, where if I learn how to communicate, I'm just becoming a salesman and I'm doing a disservice to the craft or the trade or whatever. It's like, I go back and forth with some of these dudes on my YouTube and TikTok videos. It's like, not all of them get an answer, but some of them I laugh at it, at like 9 a.m. And then I'm all stressed out at like 6:30 and read it again. I'm like, no, you ain't getting away with this. Fire off and try to make it feel like crap, I know you frown on this behavior. I get it. That's their mindset, is like, you're doing the world a disservice by selling, but these same clowns can't wait to watch Super Bowl commercials where more money has gone into sales than any other thing on earth. A 30-second commercial is like what, $15 million or something on the Super Bowl now, including production and all that. And it's nothing but a sales presentation. Nothing. But you, little guy, you got no problem with them doing it, right? They're not salespeople. It shows how immature mentally you are. I'm just saying, is what it is. Pass this around. I don't care who hears it. So January doesn't care about our goals, right?
Right.
Like the year of 2026 doesn't care what our plan is. It cares about our preparation. And the people who will win here in 2026 are the ones who intentionally close the skill gap instead of hoping that effort alone carries them through. And this crazy idea of waiting until someone just notices how valuable you are, despite your lack of real significant performance, and taps you on the shoulder and parts the curtain and says, right this way, sir. Like, we've been waiting for someone just like you to show up with mediocre performance and like save the world. So here you go. Step into this stretch limo. Don't see those often anymore. But if you're listening and you know you need to upgrade your skills in communication this year, we built Blue Collar Closer for you. 7-day free trial. Check the community out, a little bit of the classroom, see if it helps you on real service and sales calls. And after that, it's month to month. It's $239 a month. It's less than $60 a week. $60 a week. Let's not even count the weekend. It's $12 a day. If you can't make an extra $12 a day to cover this by using the strategies inside, you're not using them. There's no contract. There's no long-term lock-in. It's just month to month. Nate, if someone's serious about upgrading their skills and their income this year, as a guy who's in there every day, you're seeing the posts like the review I read and the transformations that are happening to members month after month, right? For the 6 months we've been out or whatever. If Alex, your son, ended up being an owner, GM, sales manager, salesperson, or technician on performance pay in our industry. Now, you've never been in a truck, but you see what you see. What would your advice be to him in terms of blue collar closer?
You're saying that he's already a member, or like he's not a member?
No, he's in the field or an owner or manager or what have you, but he doesn't know anything about it.
Okay. So my honest advice, and this is going to be my honest advice for everybody, is like, find something that works for you, invest in it, but then apply it. I think blue collar closer is fantastic. And I think it does exactly what we are telling everybody that it does. And that's obviously where we want you to join. But like, I want to see gains across the board. If there's a better system out there that's going to help you, then go for that, man. But like that's fine. Like, we don't have a monopoly on the sales process. We don't have a monopoly on the truth. We don't have a monopoly on the best thing in the world. What blue collar closer is a proven factory, if you will, for spitting out closers. But don't sign up if you're not going to do it. Just call it what it is. You're either too lazy or too unserious about the goal.
Yeah, undisciplined. Yeah, there's an aspect of it where it's like, I talked to some of the guys who show up to most of the live online events, but I can look anytime and see what their classroom progress is. And it's like 16% on the first course, 44% on the second, and then 0, 0, 0. And I'm like, it's great that you come to the live events, but all of the meat and potatoes that you need to perform well in the live calls is in the classroom. So here's what I would recommend. Get in blue collar closer, spend your first 7 days learning the community, know a few people in there, get acclimated. And then at day 8, the full course classroom opens up. Get your notepad, get your pen, get your quiet place at home. And I would say give it either a half hour in the morning before everything else or an hour in the evening. Watch the classroom videos and take notes. Every time your head nods, your pen moves. Every time. And take tons of notes and write a presentation out and figure this thing out and get in there and like see our boy Danny Jones, who's like just a leader in there. Danny and Hayden and Anthony Hamilton and like, I shouldn't have said anybody because now I'm going to leave like 6 people out, but people in there who are just part of everything, man. And they're dying for somebody to post a role play video, and Brogan, and like to give feedback to help you get better at it. And there's nobody in there making fun of people. Like it's just not really done. Like it's not like an HVAC Facebook group where you post your install and 6,000 people just rip it to shreds. Like if you get feedback, it's constructive, but it's always with like, dude, props for throwing that in there. I know how tough that had to be, right? And then everybody just loves on you and your effort, and it makes you want to do more of it. So it's a contagious thing. But yeah, get up in there. See the guys I'm talking about and how oddly excited they are for your success.
We'd be thankful if you would do that. And we do believe that you'll be thankful if you do that for your own sake. And obviously, like we mentioned before, the dividends from those types of investments pay out to many, many people, yourself included. And so we're going to leave it there for this episode. We've been all over the place, Brian. We've been to Gratitude Town. We've been to Invest in Yourself. We've been all over, man. But we're bringing it back home to kicking off the new year. It's going to be a good year. It's going to be the year that you choose to make it. So don't let this year just pass you by. Don't let this world pass you by. Please do not finish 2026 as the same person that starts it. That is unacceptable. You must make improvements. You must grow. You must mature. You must choose hard in some area of your life and invest and develop. We hope this podcast and the specific episode have challenged you to do that. That's our commitment to you. We're going to keep bringing content next year, this year, that is going to challenge you, new ideas, new ways of doing things. And you know what? Remembering the old ways of doing things that you just haven't picked up yet. So we're going to do that. We're going to keep dropping episodes. You're going to keep listening to them, but you're going to choose an area of your life to invest. And guess what? You're going to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.